Now, I personally have been saving up for around 12 or 13 years and invested into the stock market consistently for about 8 or 9. And over the last decade or so, I've now built a portfolio that now pays me north of $92,000 per year in dividend income, or around $7,700 every single month on average. Now, dividend investing is a strategy that's become more and more popular because I think even younger investors see the potential benefits of consistent cash flow, and a lot of us, even relatively younger investors that have the hopes for financial freedom, see dividend investing as a way out. But over the last several years of not only dividend investing and talking to hundreds of different investors across YouTube, there always seems to be one question that sticks out that keeps coming up time and time again. So in today's video, we're going to be answering that question once and for all to make things very, very clear. Now, especially if you're personally newer to dividend investing, make sure to stick around, drop a link down below, and let's get right into it. My A to Z dividend investing ebook has helped countless dividend investors get started with their journey. And my custom dividend tracker that I'm constantly using here on the channel has also helped so many investors stay on track and allow them to see their dividend income in real time. Well, today I have another treat for you guys. I'm not only going to offer you my A to Z dividend investing ebook and the custom dividend tracker, but also just for a short limited time, I'm going to be adding in my brand new weekly dividend blueprint ebook to show you how you can get started with weekly dividend ETFs and add this into your investing strategy. This offer is not going to last long, so go ahead and click the first link down below in my description, and you're going to get both ebooks and the custom dividend tracker bundle. But like I said, please act fast because this won't be around for long. Now let's get back into the video. Now, just to get right into it, the number one question that I constantly get when it comes to dividend investing is what stocks or what ETFs are best for me to buy into? Now, that is such an open-ended question, and I think investors, of course, mean well when they ask that question to me, but the obvious answer is I'm just like you. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen with different stocks or ETFs in the future. I, of course, do not have a crystal ball. Now, even though I've been investing for around a decade and I obviously have a good grasp on the market, I've been through multiple different market crashes, corrections at this point, and I've sort of seen a little bit of everything. For me to answer what the best stock or ETF for someone else to invest into absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. But in hopes to answer that question, I'm going to go through multiple different things that you as an investor, especially if you're newer to investing, can go through to help you 100% answer that question yourself and know exactly which stocks or which ETFs you should add into your portfolio. Now, let me first go over my personal strategy, my personal objectives when it comes to investing. And again, these strategies are my specific strategies. These are not necessarily everyone's strategies. My specific strategy at 32 years old is to build a cash flowing portfolio full of different stocks and ETFs that pay me dividends on a monthly or quarterly basis, but also have the potential to grow in price, which hopefully will help my net worth and my portfolio grow in the future. Now, even though I do focus on dividend investing when it comes to the stock market, I do also have some growth positions. Like you can see right here, I have 1,000 shares of Apple stock, and I also have some other different growth positions mixed in the portfolio. But even beyond that, outside of the stock market, I also own some physical real estate and some companies. So dividend investing is not my entire net worth. Dividend investing is still only a piece of my personal pie. Now, I say that because a lot of times investors will ask me, why in the world at 32 years old are you so focused on dividend investing? Why are you so focused on cash flow? Why don't you focus more on growth while you're young? And although that's honestly a really good question, the reason is because my entire net worth is not only focused on dividend-oriented stocks and ETFs, although it still is a large portion of my overall pie. Now, I also personally, at a relatively young age, want to start using my dividend income every single month to pay for things like expenses, pay for things like bills, or of course to help out family and friends. Now, that's my specific strategy, my specific objective, which is exactly what you guys should also do, especially in your early days of thinking about investing. Ask yourself what is most important to you. Are you looking for growth? Are you looking for income? Or maybe like myself, are you looking for a little bit of both? And then once you understand what objectives and strategy you're really focused on, that's going to help you a ton when it comes to stock selection, stock picking, or ETF picking. So again, just to go back to my personal portfolio with my personal strategy and objective, because I'm focused on dividends and a little bit of growth potential, I own tons of different things like the BlackRock Enhanced Equity Dividend Trust ETF, which isn't really going to grow all that much, but does pay around an 8% yield. Also, for example, I own a ton of shares of Devo ETF, which also pays a nice yield from day one, but isn't really going to grow all that much. Now, because I do want some exposure to growth, I own a ton of Apple stock, and I also own a ton of SCHD, which is going to grow a little bit over time, but also pay me dividends and dividend growth in the long term. Now, after you do some initial thinking about your strategy and some of your objectives, then honestly, in my opinion, I would stick to ETFs until you really get the feel of investing and until you really understand how everything works. You could, of course, go with a trusted provider like Vanguard, for example. There's tons of other trusted providers out there too, but Vanguard, for example, offers tons and tons of different ETFs that, sort of like I was saying earlier, are going going to have different strategies and objectives all within each individual ETF. Like for example, after doing some basic research, you're going to figure out that some of these ETFs are going to offer different things like bond exposure, different ones are going to offer things like utility exposure, or even small cap equity exposure, for example. Now it's going to seem sort of confusing at first, but again, after you do some simple research and after you figure out maybe some of these ETFs are really speaking to you because of what they offer. Take VYM, for example, an ETF that over time has performed pretty well. It's returned around 9% since inception, but along with it, this ETF is relatively low beta. It offers a nice starting dividend yield and offers dividend growth. So again, if that's an ETF that's speaking to you and your strategy, that's going to be easy for you to maybe buy into. Now, on the other hand, maybe you have a little bit higher risk tolerance and you want to buy into an ETF that's more growth focused. Again, the point is that there's really a product out there for every single investor, but especially if you're newer to investing, I 100% would recommend looking into ETFs before single stock picking, because when you're single stock picking, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And on the other hand, when you buy into ETFs or funds, you're buying into a fund that might hold hundreds or sometimes even thousands of different stocks, meaning that even if one stock, 10 stocks, or 20 stocks have a bad day, a bad quarter, or a bad year, the rest of the fund should more or less be okay. Now, still, maybe you're newer to investing and you're saying, I have no interest in buying into a fund. I want to do some single stock picking. Well, that's going to take a lot more research if you want to do it the right way. You're going to want to look into each individual company's financials, their previous performance, the underlying business model, and many, many more things. That's why, especially for newer investors, sticking with ETFs, sticking with highly diversified ETFs with a track record of performing pretty well long-term is a good place to look into. So because I get the question all the time, what investment should I invest into, especially probably from more so newer investors, I really want to refer them to this video and explain to them that there's absolutely no way in the world that I would know exactly which stocks and or even ETFs necessarily match what they're looking for when it comes to their strategy, when it comes to their risk tolerance, or simply put what they're even looking for. But the good news is this, there is literally ETFs and stocks across the market that after a little bit of simple research are going to speak to you 100%. Now sure, it's going to take some time, it's going to take some digging around, some research, but again, that's the fun part. And I promise you, very shortly after you start looking into different stocks or ETFs, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to look at a name like SCHD, for example, which for me personally, an investor that wants dividends, that wants dividend growth, and that wants some diversified growth potential, this ETF speaks to me very, very loudly. This ETF basically says to me, yes, I'm offering everything that you personally are looking for as an investor. Now, on the other hand, if there's a growth-oriented investor out there that wants their portfolio to potentially grow 20, 30, 40, 50% in a year, well then SCHD is not necessarily going to offer what they're looking for. But the great thing is that you can build a portfolio with tons of different stocks and ETFs just like I have as of right here, or you can build a portfolio with a single holding or whatever the case might be. But the answer to the most often asked question, what stocks or what ETFs should I buy into, is exactly that, guys. It's going to take research and it's going to take you sitting down and figuring out which objectives and strategies match what you're looking for personally. So now that we went through the most asked question when it comes to dividend investing, and I hope that I gave you guys some helpful insights. And lastly, most importantly, I want to hear from you guys down below. What stocks or ETFs do you personally think that you should be buying when it comes to investing in the stock market? Drop some of the ticker symbols in my comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.